In game one, we end up getting 6th place, but it could have been a much worse placement because we had really bad mats going to endgame. And as you can see, we were playing storms. Like, our strategy was to play storm until the 5th partial zone so that we can get in without taking a lot of damage because the game is very stacked, right? 7-1 people up. So what we need to do if we are going to play storm is that we need to be ready with medkits, just already like preparing to jetpack if it pulls max. So what we should have been doing was being in one of these trees, and then as soon as the partial showed, we should have instantly jetpacked, got into zone, then jetpacked again, and then got in. But the problem is that we aren't ready to jetpack when the next zone shows, which leads to us rotating late. And then as you guys will see, because we come in late, we have to use more mats. And also, when we come in late, it's higher risk of getting lobbied. So it's either you build less and you risk getting lobby, or you build a lot and then you burn a lot of your builds. What unfortunately ends up happening is my teammate like bumps into a tree, so now I'm a solo, and this landing spot is actually very good. The only problem is that this team landed with me at the same time, and because they know I'm a solo, there's no consequence for them to shoot at me. So then I started getting lobbied by this team, and if this team wasn't here, I could normally go behind this ridge right here. But because this team is behind me, there's nowhere I can go, and I end up using a lot of mats, which basically like fried my material count. As you guys can see, we have no builds because of what happened earlier, and we just been staggering the whole time. Now I make a good call to jump this guy because I see he's a solo, and I understand that because there's not going to be a lot of old builds now, it's going to be really hard for us to survive with the amount of mats that we have. So I make the call to jump in on this solo. But what would have been a better play, so if you just think about like where the teams are, there's going to be no one on his left, and everyone's going to be on the right side. So he's in actually a really good spot. But instead of jumping him through this wall, which he's going to be able to hear, what we should have done is jump in from the bottom, in my opinion. I think what we should have done is been like, go place a ramp here, wall this off, and then phase into his box. Because if you think about it, it's so much easier to phase in from the bottom than through the wall, as you guys can see here. So I'm like, yo, jump in, but we just can't get through. And because we go here instead of like this floor, well, this guy wasn't here, right? This team starts pressuring us, and then I get down to 1 HP, and we couldn't even get the kill because he just kept holding his wall. So what we should have done instead, like I said, was go from underneath, so then both of us can phase into the box and actually get the refresh. In game 2, we end up getting 6th place again, which was a very good placement, but one mistake that I made that really affected our rest of our game was playing too passive earlier in the game. So what happens is this team is camping on us, and we know they're just lurking on us. I don't know where his teammate is, and basically we're just trying to wait for them to leave, right? But at some point they do leave, and I still sit here and I don't really like move, because if you just look at our loadouts, we obviously need 2 jetpacks, right? So you can hear his teammate just jetpacked right now, and the other guy is about to just run away. Now at this point, what we just needed to do was leave the POY, like fuck the mats, and just go loot like the rest of this, because this was uncon, so we should have got all this. And even if we end up getting keyed by another team, at least we played for like high reward, you know? Like if we don't have a jetpack, there's no point in really playing the game because everybody else has a jetpack. So what ends up happening is these guys leave, but I just sit here for the next like 5 minutes, and that basically like cooks our mats and shields for the rest of the game. So again, we were very shambles going to this end game, but we still somehow made it work by staggering and just like stringing together refreshes. Although we had early troubles going into game 2, we end up finding a way to make it to the second last moving zone. But here's where I make a huge mistake, which gets us 6th place rather than 2nd place. So there's 2 seconds left on zone pull, and now the zone pulls. And in this zone, this is the zone where you need to decide whether you're going to go for height or you're going to play for low. Now, from our situation, which can we play for? We can actually play for both, because not only can we chop this height team, they're literally on 1 wood cone, but all we have to do is drop on low, and we have low, right side low. So this is a situation where I need to be ready and I need to decide. But in my mind, I didn't even think about height a single time because I was in a refresh focused mindset the whole time. But now that we have the mats to actually play for height or play for low, this is the situation where we need to be ready. But I didn't scout out height a single time. I full tarp on this layer when there's literally no point to tarp on it. When I could have just dropped down, saved 50% of my mats, and have such a higher like refresh opportunity. So now I just use all my mats to tarp on this layer for no reason in hards. And now all these teams are ahead of us. Just imagine if we were on this layer, we could have killed like all these guys down here. And we would have been full chilling. We could have got so many more refreshes. But what ends up happening is we are on backside with not a lot of mats. And my teammate dies. I'm super low. And then we both die. Because look, there's literally no one front. It's so many solos. Because we were a duo and we had mats, all we needed to do was take front low and stay front the rest of the game, and the game was finished. In game 3, we don't have that good of a game. We get 13th place, and this is completely on me. So on this zone, this is the first zone where wherever you position yourself is extremely important for the next zones. Obviously, the other zones matter as well, but this zone is extremely important as it starts to get very congested. So just looking here, in my opinion, for me, my rules on this zone is you have a couple spots where you can land. You can land on the side of zone, so like right here on this side, or on this left side, or you need to land elevated. So a good spot to land would be off this height team, like make a couple boxes out, connect to them, and you're good. But let's just look at my landing location. I land on edge on low ground. So as you're going to see in a couple seconds, is there's going to be so many teams around us and so many builds above us that it's almost impossible for us to even scout or jetpack out of. I don't think anybody can explain to me how they would jetpack out of the situation if it pulls this way. There's genuinely nowhere you can go. If we were this team on the side of zone, our tops are free. If we were elevated like this team, there's no one above us except for height. But because we're on low ground, on edge, now we just don't have a spot to jetpack out of. And what ends up happening is we get a kill, we get extremely stacked, but when we need to go to zone, it gets very, very congested. And now look at our HP. Because we had to run all the way out of all those builds and then jetpack. Now my teammate is 30 HP and I'm 20 HP, and our conditions are so much worse than they should be. So like I just talked about with the last zone of how landing on low ground is extremely bad unless you're on the side of the zones, it's very similar with first moving, at least for me, right? Now I'm looking at this, and basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to land on this left side, but I see that they're shooting at height. So I didn't really want to land on them because they were very aware and they could have easily just boxed me and killed me. That is the reason why I didn't want to land there. But the spot where I end up landing is so much worse than where I could have landed. So I end up landing on low ground. The worst spot, especially because it pulls up a hill. The only time where this is good is if we get a pullback. And yeah, only if we get a pullback. That's the only time where this be good, because it pulls up a hill. It's literally the worst spot to be in. And what I should have just done is just landed right here. I could have landed here, and yes, it's not the best spot in the world, but then I can just fizz, get in, elevate, and I'm in. But because I'm down here, you're going to see what's going to happen on my next rotate. It's going to be so cooked because we are stuck under all these builds. There's so many people. It's the same thing with the last zone. In this meta, you cannot be on low ground when it pulls up a hill like this. In almost any meta, you can't do this. Now we get a bad pull. It pulls max to the left. And I tell my teammate, yo, we need to run all the way into zone and jetpack. So I just tanked 90 white HP. And then my teammate ends up dying to storm. So there was no mechanics involved, no fighting skill. That was all simply game sense and how position yourself in a bad spot on these zones, like 7th zone, 8th zone, can literally ruin your game even if you played it perfectly up until then. After our 2 games where we got 6th back-to-back, we were 4th place on the leaderboard. But after we had that 13th place, we were around top 20, top 30. So we were still extremely high elo on pace to qualify to Division 1. But in this game, in our fourth game, we ended up getting 14th place. And it's because I ended up dying early, so my teammate was left to solo clutch. And as you can see on first moving, our mats are extremely good. 105 builds and 101 builds. But you're going to see exactly how I die. And I land here, which is a good spot to land. I land on top of this cone. The only problem that I make here is I drop down. There's a concept called box where you land. And basically it means like just box where you land. It's pretty simple. But instead of just boxing up here, I wanted to go down and box up. And I greeted it. And especially with the jetpack, how like it's so hard to scout around you and you can easily land in other people's boxes. It's just worth it to just box up here and tarp in. Because even if we do end up getting sprayed by height, it's only for like 15 more seconds and it's first moving, so you're less likely to get sprayed. And it's so unfortunate that I just die here. He just ends up hitting a harder pump. He also has a pistol, but this was probably avoidable. There's a lot of jetpack deaths where it feels like really unavoidable, but if I would have just done what my teammate did and just instantly made a box here, then I would have been fine, and we probably would have got top 5 as we had really good mass this game. In games 5 and 6, we ended up dying off spawn, and there's not much to talk about. We got third-partied by another team, so both teams ended up dying each game, and even if we won the off spawn, it didn't matter. We just got third-partied. So now in game 7, we get a 0-point game when we spent over 10 minutes in this game because we got keyed and I got absolutely shit on. So I'm gonna show. So instantly, I shoot the team and I box up. But I was gonna go like scout to see where they were, but I didn't know that he had a fizz like already pre-popped before he started shooting at me. So he closed the distance so fast and he caught me off guard like extremely quickly. And then here I was trying to like hold my wall, and then I realized like, yo, he might just grab it, so like I need to get out of this box. But before I can like get out, he walls me off, and then he just one like 50s me with the dual wheeled shotguns, and basically I just got fucked. I mean, I don't really know what I really could have done there. It was just the element of surprise. Like he really caught me off guard by how close he got to me in like short amount of time, because he already had fizz pop before he like I knew he was there. So if he didn't have fizz popped, he wouldn't have been able to like catch me off guard that much. So yeah, I don't really know what I could have done here. In game 8, we have another bad game. We end up getting 14th place, and this is because I was looking for refreshes too much and not focusing on zone. So a lot of the reason why I think people have such a huge importance on going front side is because when you're front side, you don't have to worry about zone, obviously, duh. But also you can look back at all the teams that are trying to like rotate. And our positioning right now is fine if you just look at it from above. Like we're like in the middle of zone, but eventually we're gonna have to move, right? And basically, I'm fighting this team on full backside when we have enough mats. Like combined, we have over 120 builds. That's actually very respectable on the zone. So there's no point for me to be fighting for this on backside. What I should have just done is just went to zone and then look back at these guys and shoot them. Like shoot this guy, shoot this guy. If we were boxed up like right here, we can be looking at all these guys in a much safer position. But instead we go backside and we just keep fighting this guy, right? Even let's say I pickaxe on his wall, then did the first shot and I didn't kill him. Then I should have instantly left it, then went to zone. That's like the worst case scenario. But what I keep doing is just keep chasing this kill. And my teammate was already low on white HP. So then he ends up dying to storm, which is crazy, right? Like how do I even let that happen? And then I have to use all these mats to like make this long rotate when I could have just simply cut in easier. And now I'm down a teammate and we didn't get the kill. So it literally wasn't worth it. We could have been here and did the same thing, look back at these guys. But instead, because we were fighting backside when we had mats, my teammate ends up dying, and then I die like literally 10 seconds later after this. Going to game 9, because we died off spawn twice, then we got a 14th in the last end game. We were extremely low elo, and we were doing pretty bad. So we needed a really good game to bounce back. My teammate ended up dying early, so I had to solo clutch this game. And I actually could have got a lot more points if I wouldn't have made this mistake. So first, I go on this dude's wall. I saw he was solo. Smack, saw me. 200, dead. Get all the builds. Nice. Then instantly I go to zone. But like, it's so congested, right? There's so many kids. And they're trying to jump in on me. With the 4 builds that I have, also I do have sickness. So in any other scenario, I'm just playing my Mekit here. What I should have done with the 4 builds that I have is first build a floor or a stair this way to block my head, because there's a guy in here. And I saw that they all this, like when they were on my wall, the duo, right? You could hear them mantle up, which means they were above me, right? So why would I not block my tops? So first, I need to block my tops. Second, I need to build a stair here because there's a guy in this box and he can end on me. Third, I build a wall here, and then I literally just sit here, maybe break this cone, and just hug this wall with the last builds that I have. But instead, I don't build a floor above me, which leads to him, this guy, jumping into my box and then killing me. When I probably could have got maybe a top 5 this game, I ended up dying in 9th because I had bad awareness when I knew there's a guy up here because he just mantled on me. In this end game, a small mistake that I make is misreading the zone, thinking it's a diagonal pull instead of a straight pull. So, like, the difference is if you just look at this left side on the zone where this Matt FV guy is, right? If we were to draw like a straight line from where they are to where the circle will be, if they were to tarp straight from where they are, they would be in zone. That means it's a straight pull. That's basically how it works. And a diagonal is like, no matter where you are, you could tarp all fully in and you're not going to be in zone. Kind of how it works. It's a little bit more complex, but that basically means that it's not going to open up that much, the zone. On our side where we are, it's going to close more, but it's going to not open up as much as it would on a diagonal pull. The reason why that's important is because I thought it was a diagonal pull, and I landed too much on the side of zone when I thought like I was in zone. So I'm going to show like basically what I'm saying is I thought that it was opening up towards where I just landed, right here on this tree. But as you can see, if you just look at like my camera on the mini map, I'm not in zone here. This is me. I'm not in zone. Where my teammate actually landed was a very good spot. If he wouldn't have died, he was in a much better position than I was, because on this layer we are on the side of zone, but here I'm not in zone. And this is just simply a misread of it being a straight pull instead of diagonal pull, and it makes me waste like 40 builds, which is like a small mistake, but it actually has like huge consequences. After my teammate died, I had a pretty good solo clutch, which ended up getting us 4th place, but I actually could have clutched up to a top 2, and I'm going to show one of the reasons why I might have not been able to survive. So there's this guy on low ground, 100, and I kill him, right? And this is such a small little like petty thing, but it actually might be the difference. So I grab the wood and I grab the brick, but I don't grab the metal. And yes, it's only siphon, but those 5 builds might have been the difference in this game for me getting 4th instead of 2nd. Because now when I get up here, I only have 2 builds, now 1 build. Think about if I had that metal, I would have 6 builds left. If I had 6 builds, what I could have done is, instead of dropping down here, after I killed this guy, I didn't even have to drop down here. I could have literally just went front and then started like spraying my gun from front instead of being backside. And yes, I did end up missing my pump shot right here. And if I would have hit that pump shot, I would have killed him. So, but that's not something I can really tell myself like, yo, just hit the shot, right? So, but something I can do is actually grab the metal and make sure I get all the mats, because like I said, I could have actually got 2nd place that game, and this would have been like 10 extra points for us. Unfortunately, we're unable to qualify for Division 1, and we got 101st place on NA West, and it's top 50 to qual to Division 1. But, you know, we tried our best, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like, the results are cool and all, but I'm looking for improvement. Like, first of all, like, that's like the most important thing to me, and we tried our best. We were actually doing really bad at one point, like after game 8. Yeah, we were doing really bad, but we still brought it back. You know, we didn't give up until the end of the tournament, which I think was good. I had like a 50-point last game, which got us like a lot of placements up, and I'm really excited for what we can do in the future. I feel really inspired to do good and like work hard and actually try to improve on our mistakes and keep doing the things that are working. And yeah, that was day 110. I don't even know what the fuck I just said. Unfortunately, we were unable to qual for Division One. We got 101st place, which is actually not that bad. I thought we did much worse. We got like 252 points. Going into our last game, we were under 200 points, which probably would have put us at like 300th place, which is a huge difference. So we had a really good last game. What I really liked out of us is that we didn't give up until the end of the, like, we played the whole tournament out, no matter how bad we were doing or how good, like, we tried our best the whole time, which is all you can really ask for, you know? Even though we didn't qualify, I saw a lot of good things, a lot of things that we can work on in the future that will propel us to potentially qualify for Division 1. And yeah, it was overall a successful tournament. So that was day 110.